Hello everyone, my name is Bryce truQ. I'm a content creator with SmallSmall and this is the SmallSmall Podcast. Today we have exciting people around this table. We have another textile company who has raised amazing money and is solving a great problem in Nigeria. And probably the rest of Africa will also benefit from this idea. And then we also have a great tech marketing genius also on the table. But I don't want to spill the beans before time. I'd like them to introduce themselves, and I'll start with my partner here, James. James, can you introduce yourself?
Thank you very much, Bright. My name is James Ogunjimi. I'm the marketing manager at SmallSmall, and it's exciting to be here. This is a very important conversation, and I look forward to having fun on this.
All right, so Mr. Williams, can we get to know you better?
Yeah, of course. Thank you very much for having me. My name is Williams. I am the CEO and co-founder of truQ, where we're building the tech infrastructure to help businesses and logistic companies do all of their logistics operations smarter, faster, and more efficiently. It's great to be here. I look forward to a great conversation.
I have so many questions about how you were able to pull off the feat that is truQ. You know, your company was also on the Google Black Founders Fund. BFF. that thing always cracks me up. And also it's a textile company, and it just shows that for so many tech investors to see value in what you're doing, it's a real problem. You know, I was having a conversation with James, and we're talking about companies that are painkillers and vitamins, really, and we said definitely your company is a massive painkiller, and we want to know how you got the problem, how you encountered the problem, and what you're doing to solve it.
I think the very first thing that I wanted to solve when we started was to solve problems that myself and my co-founder were struggling with our previous employers. We used to manage critical logistic workflows I was working with a bank prior, managing the entire event, sponsorships, activation, and bank logistics for the bank, while Folusha was with an agency that supports over 50 multinationals in Nigeria, and she was in charge of the logistics that concerns events and activations for those multinationals too. And the biggest problem we always have around the work that we do was finding vehicles when we need to move stuff around. So it's easy when you just need a vehicle to come to Marina, pick up and deliver to a branch in Ado-Ekiti. But when you need to do 30 branches at the same time with 30 different vehicles, everything breaks down. You struggle to find vehicles, you struggle with pricing, you struggle with oversight. Sometimes you have an event in Calabar and you've put 2 trucks on the road, or you put a truck on the road or a van on the road, and you send the van about 2 or 3 days ahead. For like the first 2 days, you didn't even know where the van is. You didn't hear anything from him. In fact, you've activated another vehicle to go, and the second vehicle will get there before the first one. Maybe like 5 days later, the first one will now call you, "Hello, guy, I've gotten to Calabar now. Are you kidding me?" And all of that. So I think what we thought, very theoretical assumption at the very beginning, was, what if we're able to create a pool of trusted and vetted supply guys, where anyone, anytime, anywhere that needs them can just come in and access. I've tried this startup thing before in my finals, that I've built a tech infrastructure before I discovered that there was no market for it. So this time I was not even thinking tech, and none of us was thinking tech. So we just decided, okay, let's validate this thing first. So we traveled across Lagos, built an Excel database of about 86 drivers. I got on Canva afterwards, designed a flyer with a phone number saying, call this number anytime you need to move anything, and we'll get the closest vehicle to your door in 2 hours or less. And 6th of January 2020, the first call came in. It was a trip from Ikeja to Magodo, 14,700 or so for that trip. And that Excel sheet would go on to power our first 2,000 trips before we even wrote a line of code. We've gone from that to over 50,000 trips now, but I think it's been a very exciting journey. First, trying to solve the problem that we had then, and as we journeyed on, this thing starts sucking you in, showing you more problems to solve, and that's where we are now.
That's fantastic. I want to jump into why we're here, really, because we're not just another tech roundtable, discussing issues. We're also talking about the lifestyle aspect, how it affects the everyday person, right? Especially when we're talking about solutions that are easy on the pocket. And also your company has some solutions that, people can jump on, small businesses, especially in this era where cash is really critical. Your company has some solutions around that makes it easier for people to pay for goods. Can you throw more light on that, on those packages that you have?
From building a platform that connects anyone with logistic needs to the closest vehicle, we would later see that access to vehicles was just one of the many problems that businesses and logistic companies have. Some of them deal with the shittiest form of manual processes that makes their entire business fulfillment or logistics super frustrating for them and inefficient, if I can say. So what we decided to do was look at the entire workflow that businesses and logistic companies have. From the moment someone buys something from them to the moment the customer confirms delivery and all of what they need to do post-delivery. And we built all of that out into CG by truQ, that is our operating system for third-party logistics. So for a business now, if a business has 10,000 deliveries to do in a day, rather than have several people across several warehouses sitting down with that long list of orders, looking at how do we plan, how do we aggregate, how many vehicles do we need, all they need to do is push all of that into our system, and in less than a second, our system looks at what's the proximity of drop-off location, what's the volume of order per customer, how many vehicles we need for this delivery, aggregates those orders into trips, creates those trips, push it to driver, and then helps the business track how every single order is being delivered on that single trip, such that you don't have to then start calling the customer or calling the driver, have you delivered stock 1, have you delivered stock 2? You can see all of that in real time oversight. Same thing for logistic companies that used to run on WhatsApp or PayPal before. Now they have a suite of solutions to become really tech-enabled and incredibly efficient for their drivers, their vehicles, their orders, and the super admin dashboard to monitor all of that. And because we are now powering those guys, we know how many trips they do per day. We know how much money they make per day. The day they come to us and say, I have a trip that is going to cost me 5 million naira and I don't have the money for it. Can you float me that money to execute this trip? And when the customer pays, we know the customer you are servicing. Yes, this customer is running on the system already. We know you're asking for 5 million for a trip, but you do about 15 million in a week or 15 million in a day and all of that. So we have this finance-led product where we help them finance their logistics operations, not just their trips when they need to finance trips, but also when they need to fuel, repair their vehicles and all of that. We work with a business that's supposed to pay you in 15 days time. We can give you access to that earning today at a discount of whatever it is that you have gotten in 15 days time. Right now, I think where it is we are now at the intersection of a platform, a software, and a finance company, trying to look at all of the problems that our customers have and solving for them. But I think the rocket ship is that CG by truQ, that's SaaS. We are no longer innovating for ourselves now, we're innovating for the industry, and that's incredibly exciting.
Thank you very much for that. So I would like to go into the topic of installment payments. If I'm correct, truQ has an installment payment plan where you can help people move in exchange for them paying on an installment basis. Now, I'm curious about that. What's the idea behind installment? I mean, if you look at different industries, whether it's in real estate, for instance, we have installment payments in education, and we've spoken with quite a number of people in the consumer goods market. We spoke with CDK today. We've spoken with Sunfy and a couple of others. Now, there is a growth in the number of companies and industries offering installment payments. Do you think that it is a question of the economic downturn, maybe because of the state of the economy? Is that what is making installment payments gain adoption, a lot of adoption? Or do you think it's just the next step in technological adoption? Like maybe as the technology is growing, as we're having more startups that are tech-based, there is more tilt towards installment payments, or is because of the economy?
Fundamentally, before I go into the truQ context of this question that you just asked, fundamentally, I think what it was, or what it is rather, is that the same money is being earned, but it can buy less stuff. now. It's no news to anybody that our naira is getting ridiculously devalued, right? What a 100k could buy 5 years ago is not the same thing a 100k can buy today. It's a problem, but it also creates an exciting opportunity for anyone to look at how do I then help people get what they need without feeling the financial burden immediately. That's where it's exciting seeing what SmallSmall is doing in the property space and what CDK is doing in the device and product space and all of that. For us, it wasn't really something we thought was necessary for our customers. It was when we wanted to start servicing customers of companies that are playing in that space. So you have bought a deep freezer from CDK and you've told CDK I will pay back in 2 or 3 installments. And by the time I'm billing you for the logistics, the option exists that I can pay immediately because our model requires that you pay before the trip. But what if we can also try to align with the fundamental ideology that business exists on, saying I want people to be able to access what they need without feeling the immediate financial burden, and say, can you help us spread the cost of this logistics also the same way you spread the cost of the product in servicing the customers that you service. So when we want to partner up with this kind of businesses, and same thing with SmallSmall, when you buy or rent a property on SmallSmall and you need to move in, if the cost of moving in is going to be 200k, 150k, we don't necessarily have to take all of that money at once, since you are paying for the house over time too. So what if we are able to come to an arrangement where you don't feel that burden of, I moved into a new house and the cost of moving alone was like 200k or 300k. You just sort of pay it with the same way you would pay for the property that you have acquired or rented and all of that. So it's us responding to the customer base of our partners, people who own the kind of market that we can service, and aligning ourselves with the fundamental ideology, the very basis, the very ethos that those businesses exist on. And it's been an exciting development. I think we started that about 2 or 3 months ago, and it's good to see.
There's a lot of adoption.
Yes, there is. In fact, we would assume that someone who moves into a property, maybe where that the rent is 5 million naira, would easily say, okay, I want to pay my 300k for the 10-ton van. But they would either opt just spread it out the same way you would spread out the cost of my property or the cost of my apartment. They find it as an easier option. I don't know. I think I kind of share that school of thought that money that I would pay or money that I would spend over time, it's lighter than if I have to spend it now. Yeah, and it's I'm curious to see how it all plays out. But for now, 3 months in, I think I'm glad we are on that track. Yes.
Now, in terms of how much people are buying into it, we know that it's tech-based. You need to know a couple of information about what people, maybe their earning power, things like that, to be able to offer them that kind of option.
Yeah.
Now, what does that mean for people that don't have, let's say, tech footprints? Like maybe they don't have smartphones, they don't use all of those things, but they still want to move, but they are not internet savvy and things like that. Is there a way to bring them into the installment payments, or there is an exclusion for them until they have the kind of internet access that will allow you to have access to their tech footprint? Yeah.
So 2 things again. Remember, our embedded finance approach covers both the demand side and the supply side. For the demand side, we rarely have to do direct qualification. If you bought a property from SmallSmall or you rented a property from SmallSmall, that SmallSmall have found you qualified enough to access that kind of facility. It's just me trusting SmallSmall that SmallSmall has done due diligence. Moreover, the risk to SmallSmall, if they haven't done their due diligence, is higher. So we just align with what SmallSmall has said about that customer. Because the person has probably rented or acquired an apartment or a property from you before they even need us off the back of our partnership with SmallSmall, right? That's one. But for the supply side, primarily that facility is available only to logistic companies running on our software, where we know everything going on within their business, how many trips they are doing, how much they are earning, and all of that. But we're working on opening it up to logistic companies outside our ecosystem right now, where we give you a product that helps you. You're a random logistic company, or you're just a guy that owns a van that you drive around. But because you know that it would get to a point that you need the financial service that you can get from us, you now start logging all of your trips on that product that would have given to you. You can even use it to collect payments. So James comes to me and say, Mr. Williams, you have a van. Come and help me move from Lekki Phase 1 to Ikeja now. Lekki Phase 1 to Ikeja. The system will generate price, or you can input your price on it, whatever it is that you choose to do. You copy a payment link, send it to James. James pays you. Your money goes into that system, and you then withdraw your money out from there whenever you need your money and all of that. But what that system is doing is tracking and logging your financial footprint, how much you are making, how many trips you are doing, seeing the money coming, seeing the money go out, seeing the frequency of how that money is coming, seeing how much you are holding that money for, and all of that. And we are able to analyze all of that. So the day your vehicle breaks down and you don't have enough float to execute that repair, you can, on that product, request for a repair financing, either with any of our maintenance partners or anywhere that you'd rather go. But the value that you're able to access is qualified by how much activity you have transacted on the product. It's not it's your trip, but you've been running it through the product that we've given you. So it's just us looking at beyond our own ecosystem, because we believe that we are building an ecosystem of logistics solutions right now. But outside that ecosystem, how are we still able to cover the other guys outside of it? And since you have now taken facilities from us, we are now also able to, you've taken 100k, 200k trip from us, and you live in Lekki, and we have a trip that just came into the system from Lekki Phase 1. Hey, you are owing us money. Will you do this trip and just
easy to offset it?
You get?
Yeah.
And if you are taking trips on the system, you can also incentivize, encouraging you to take trips from the platform, even though you only came for the finance. Just finding a way for those data. Like I said, it's an ecosystem. Products talking to each other and feeding off each other. So yeah, that's the way we look at qualifying and deciding who gets what within our own system.
So Mr. Williams, I also follow you on LinkedIn, and something that I've noticed is that you are passionate about what you do, and you're passionate about Nigeria. And I think for young people, it's a serious issue, because a lot of young people are disillusioned, about the way our country is going, what we believe we should have to be able to compete globally. But you started this in Nigeria. You're raising money from outside Nigeria, bringing it into Nigeria to create that ecosystem that bigger players who were there long before you came haven't done. What do you think this kind of value-based system, as opposed to just capturing market share, why would you say you're going for this value-based approach to solving problems, instead of just go for market share and say we're the biggest in Africa, we're the biggest in Nigeria?
So again, two things. I would always tell the team that it's either we are a bunch of incredible geniuses to see the opportunity that we can unlock sitting at the intersection of all of these three value propositions, or we're incredibly stupid and we are biting more than we can chew. But I think it's more of the former, considering how much validation that we have gotten right now. But I think what it is that when we got on this truck journey, it was never about the clouds that you would usually see within the tech ecosystem, where we've grown by 1 million% in 2 months. Why that is exciting. The fundamentals of being a business is what we are chasing. How much value can I create for every customer that comes in contact with me, and for how long can I keep them? So you're a business, you've used me to just book about 100 vehicles over the past 1 month. You've used our platform. How do we make sure that we lock you in by giving you a wider scope, infrastructure scope that can help you do way more than just access to vehicles, help you plan, help you optimize, work that you would need about 40, 50 people to do across several warehouses before. You now just need 4 or 5 people managing whatever infrastructure that we have given to you. you're a logistics company, beyond just giving you access to trips, how do we show you that we actually care about your business and we want your business to grow and win? And usually that is what seals the relationship between businesses and their customers over time, when it goes beyond just being transactional to being, this business cares about me, this business wants me to win. Even for the individual, the B2C segment of our market, where we try to leverage a lot of partnerships to drive, it goes beyond just access to vehicles to move in. What is the experience around your moving? What's the convenience of it? What are the post-moving services that we can offer to you or provide to you from the same dashboard or from the same point of interaction? It's always about value. The good thing about it is that the more value you're able to create, the more you're able to monetize that customer.
True.
The business could have stayed at the point of just use us to move in and we are good. But it's small money compared to how much we can get off you over a longer lifetime of several value propositions. And so it's always been about how much value can we create from the very beginning. And I think it's just a personal ideology that filtered into the system. When I build relationship with people, even in my romantic life over time, it's not always about the love. It's about how can you use me to level up, or how can I use you to level up? How can I inspire your growth? You met me a year ago, started dating me a year ago. A year after, is it just love that exists, or have you stepped up? Have you seen personal growth just because you are vibing with me? So I think that's just what it's been.
Yeah.
Interesting. James, you're taking tips, right?
Of course.
I'm taking tips because I mean, value is everything, both in relationships and in business. And I love that it's a personal mantra for you. It's something that you stand by. So technology, like you said, you started your business, and when you started truQ, you were really about the problem. You wanted to validate the problem. And for 2,000 trips, you were able to see that there is a problem. Truly, there is a problem. And then you started building the technology to solve that problem. And that solution has brought you this far. You're a Techstar company, funded company. You've been on the Google Black Founders list, and and many more. And a lot of accolades here and there. Technology is something that a lot of young people are jumping on. A lot of young people are even saying, why go to university when I can spend that same amount of time digging deep into technology? And recently we've seen the AI wave sweep the world, really. During this conversation, you've made statements, you've talked about generating quotes on the app, and all that. That could sound easy from a UI or UX perspective, but when you talk of the back end and how you have to the algorithm that has to generate all that, so I just want to know, give me 5 tech skills that if I run up to you today and say, Mr. Williams, I can do this, that, you say, come with me, follow me. What are those tech skills that are very pertinent to you and your company?
Tech is an enabler, right? It's not, most of the time for an industry like ours, it's not where the solution starts from. Yes. I think I'm arrogant enough in our space to say, if you cannot work on Excel, tech will not do jack for you. So just, and it kind of defines how we approach our solution. Remember, I told you that I started the company before that I've reviewed tech, but there was no market for it. Nobody will pay for it, and we had to shut it down. So that experience sort of just helps me optimize for validation first before investing in tech resources. Now, answer your question. What I think we have been able to really get is a bunch of solid tech professionals across core software engineering, across a bit of experience in autonomous vehicles too, to try to understand, optimize certain things. A bit of experience in fintech engineering, that all of our embedded fintech approach came off the experience of some of the guys that we have on the team with those kind of expertise. Enterprise engineering too, because it's one thing to build a B2C product. It's another thing to build a SaaS product that you're telling businesses to jump on and collapse all of their logistics operations on. The complications are different. Building enterprise solutions is also a core experience for some of the engineering guys on the team. And of course, you've spoken about AI. Right now, there are certain AI capabilities on our product, but we are leveraging heavily on Google's infrastructure. They gave us access to certain infrastructures that we really would not have access to on a norm. They give it to multinationals that make it worth their time. But because they have put money in the business, they must help us win now. So we have access to it.
Wow.
But I think fundamentally we'd also be looking at how do we explore AI in our infrastructure as we journey on, how do we make it more intelligent. My wildest B2C use case would be, I want to move everything in this room right now. I just need to record a video of everything, and it picks up dimension, calculate volumetric weight, or estimate volumetric weight, and then look at the volume of vehicles available, and then tells you need a 5-ton van for everything that is in this room, without talking to anyone to say. So it's just a bit of looking at what are the intricacies of our own operations and how do we optimize with AI. But yes, I think fundamentally enterprise engineering, core software engineering, product design, where you build products that are actually very empathetic with the user's experience, enterprise engineering, fintech engineering, and AI, of course. AI capabilities would be some of the topmost skills that we will find relevant to what we are trying to build at truQ right now.
Thank you for that. That's an help now. I keep going back to installment payments. I think that part is because part of the things the conversations I want to have for the first season of the SmallSmall podcast is actually centered around how installment payments is working in the different industries. So if I keep going back to it, don't just...
It's all good.
So still on the installment payments thing, we spoke about how it's is able to work with people that don't have their footprints and things like that. We've already had that conversation. Now I'm looking at in the next, if you were to predict, like in the next 5 years, how do you see the industry, like the logistics space? How do you see it with the adoption of installment payments? If let's say more people adopt installment payments, do you think that is going to do you think that is going to allow more people in terms of more businesses? Do you think that is going to encourage more people? Because I know that right now, like some of the indirect competitors that you have, I may be wrong, but some of the indirect competitors you have may be those who just call one boss to just collapse their seats, and then I'm sure they will be part of the indirect competitors.
Yes.
Do you think that with the adoption of installment payments, that it will make it more possible for more people to look at structured companies like yours to move their properties and things like that?
Definitely. One thing is that the Western world has moved really ahead in terms of credit system within the economy, about creating the credit itself and getting people to trust and access that credit facility that then helps them do stuff instrumentally. Nobody buys homes. I think very few people buy homes in the West and say, I want to put $1 million down at once. They buy their homes on mortgage, buy their cars on mortgage, even buy their smartphones on mortgage. It's in this part of the world that we kind of demonize that, let me pay small, buy small, and all of that. But I think we are beginning to see things differently now. I think the critical mass of what forms our society now, being the younger people, are more open to these things than the generations that came before, and all. So yes, I do agree with you that there will be a lot of adoption of this kind of instrumental and credit-led facilities going forward into the future. But what I do believe also is that it creates a lot of for us as a business, being adaptable to it, create a lot of potential opportunities for us to, not just in terms of customer adoption, but in partnerships. I know if we had come to you and we've told you that we don't do anything instrumental, or if your people wants to move with truQ, they must pay. It restricts how much we can explore the whatever partnership that we have together, and all of that. So yes, I think there will be a lot of adoption. It will be a major competitive advantage, unlike those that will say pay me now and all of that. In fact, the financial behavior of our market has been a very interesting part of what we've been learning over the course of this year. And we have plans for next year to really tap into those learnings. So yes, I absolutely agree with you. It's something that can help us be a certain form of defensibility around as we journey on.
In talking to customers, what are some of the issues you've encountered the most when it comes to, like when you tell them, okay, if you want to move, you don't have to pay everything at once. Just pay. We'll split your payment into maybe 6 or 4 or 2. We already know that people here in this side of the world, people view installment payments like if you tell someone, oh, I bought a house. And then they later find out that, later find out that you're paying, that you still have maybe 11 more payments to make. It kind of lowers the reputation, like compared to just saying, I paid everything at once with one. So do you think that in terms of connecting it now to your industry, what are some of the other challenges you faced when proposing this plan to people? Like, what are some of why do you think people will be reluctant to tap into it?
It quietly exists already within the market. For the kind of businesses that we service, very few of them pay at the point of booking. Now, sometimes you have to float their wallet for them to execute their trips, and then they reconcile their wallet after like 7 days or 15 days or whatever it is that they've decided to do with their business, or whatever it is that we've agreed with them. But I think the biggest issue is that when you split payments, there is a sort of interest rate on it of some sort, or there's something that makes it worth the time of where the capital was gotten from to execute the initial purchases and all of that. And that affects the unit economics of the market that you're trying to sell it to. So there's a bit of work that needs to happen in terms of aligning that slight markup or margin with whatever it is that is the core objective of the customer, or whatever it is that is the core pricing or core price point that works with the customer. That's one. The second side to it is that for us, it has not even really been about the problem I just spoke about. It has been slightly about your model says that you must pay before I can access a vehicle. What are the other options available to me? We've seen customers want to negotiate with drivers. They don't want to do your algorithm says base fare plus cost per kilometer, whatever it is. No. Your system has told me it's 50k. I want to banter with the driver, you can do it for 45k. I won't take it off your system, but I want to be able to negotiate. That's one. The second side to it is this trip is 150k. I want to pay you 50k now. When the trip is completed, I'll give you the remaining 100k. But I'm not giving 150k before this trip starts. Then the third part is what we then started seeing off the basis of our partnership, that I want to be able to spread the payments the same way I've spread the payments of the primary transaction that even made me need you at the first instance. I know. So it's a lot of listening and adapting to the customer's financial preferences. I know. But fingers crossed, we'll see how much innovation we can innovate and how much value we can offer. But yes, those are like the adaptations that we've been seeing.
In terms of how, for instance, if you move someone and then let's say is disconnected from the business, like it's not one of those deals where you are building on, for instance, a partnership. So it's like maybe someone wants to move something individually. Now, when it comes to reclaiming, getting them to pay back, have you had challenges with respect to that? And how do you think policy, like in terms of, do you think that the existing policy supports the consumer more than the business? And what do you think about that? What do you think about solving that?
So for now, we've not opened up that facility to the customers that come outside of partnerships.
Oh, okay.
Because remember, we said the very basis of how we qualify is trusting the qualification of the partner. Until we're able to figure out infrastructures that help us understand the customers and their financial behavior more, I think we'll keep that facility just to partnership-led transactions. Maybe when we do integrate into Mono, we'll plug it into truQ and we see the financial behavior of a customer, we can say, okay, you can access up to this based on how much we know about your financial transactions across whatever it is, across all of the channels that you transact and spend on. But right now, it's on partnerships.
Okay. Thank you very much.
My mind has been wowed by how you guys have been building this product truQ, and I'm excited to know to see what will come in the future. But I don't want to. You've been saying let me keep my fingers crossed. I don't want to cross my finger. I want the expo. I want in the future to see some things and tell my guys that I knew this was coming, because I had the one-on-one with the CEO and he told me this is dropping on truck. But I guess now we're on camera, so you have to tell the whole world. Can you tell us in 5 years, what's the big picture? Where are you heading to? What do you want to build in 5 years that would wow us?
You've asked for Expo, now do the Expo. So like I said, we are building an ecosystem of solutions. First, we have the platform that is partially powered by the software. So the platform is us being a logistic company. The software is us being a logistic company, a software company. Businesses and logistic companies run on the software. And off their interactions on the software, we have a finance-led products that they're able to access to help them scale their operations as much as possible. And all of it. We have embedded finance that is powered by that finance-led product. But I think there is a fourth workflow that is coming in over the next 5 years. It's an asset investment platform where we decentralized asset investment. Right now, if you want to do vehicle financing, you need to go and raise billions of dollars from one person.
Yes.
This is to buy those vehicles and all of that. Now, anybody anywhere can buy tokens in vehicles that we acquired on truck, like publicly owned vehicles. We take those vehicles, give it to companies running on the software, drive to own. After 4 years, it's yours. Within those 4 years, we'll have paid returns to everybody that owned tokens in that vehicle.
Wow.
So we are not keeping vehicles on the balance sheet. We are recycling rinse and repeats and all of that. So it will be an ecosystem of vehicles that are coming in, going to logistic companies running on the software. The platform is doing its own. The finance side is powering it. Systems talking to each other. And as far as the software is concerned, I think the software, you see, everything is talking to the software. The software is like our rocket ship. We'll be innovating heavily on that end, opening it up to, right now it's working already in manufacturing and distribution industry verticals. We'll see what we can apply it in construction, how we can apply it in waste and recycle management, how we can apply it on other industries, but more importantly, in several geographical markets. So there'll be a lot of product level expansion, industry vertical expansion, and geographical expansion over the next 5 years. So you'll be seeing us powering a lot of stuff across the African markets in the next 5 years.
That's nice.
We'll be running shit.
Okay.
Sorry, pardon my French.
That's nice. We look forward to that.
We can't speak Latin here.
we look forward to that. So this has been very, very interesting. Thank you very much for accepting our invitation to be on this.
Thanks for
It's
having
been very
me.
enlightening, and we hope that we get to do a lot of things. I know that we'll be working together in a couple of days and on a lot of things. So we look forward to doing that. This is very exciting. Thank you very much for accepting our invitation. Thank you very much, Bright. This has been very interesting for us. We've talked about installment payments. We've talked about how truQ is building an ecosystem that is supporting not just their own business, but also supporting other businesses within the space, and the exciting things that are to come. This, and then we have been able to talk about how their installment payments is also making it possible for more people to buy into what truQ is doing. It's been very, very interesting, and we look forward to having more conversations like this. So thank you very much for coming on the show. We hope that if we invite you one more time, you'll still come and have a pretty good conversation with us.
Thank you.
So, and thank you very much, Bright, for making the conversation as interesting as possible. So thank you very much, and until the next episode, see you all.